Hey guys, it's Kara from iStampin.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I've got a really cute Happy St. Patrick's Day card, and I created this card using the paper and ink sketch number 17. So you can see here that it has all the dimensions and some tips on how to make this card, and I'm going to show you how I did mine. If you follow me on paper and ink sketches, you know that I normally change some things up, and today's no exception. So this is just a fun monochromatic card, and let's get started. I'm going to start off with a piece of Emerald Envy cardstock. It measures 8 by 4, and we're going to score that at 4 inches on our Simply Scored scoring tool. So just make sure at the 4-inch mark you score it well, because what we're going to do is just fold the card in half on that score line, and then we will burnish it with our bone folder. The next thing that I'm going to do is die cut quite a few pieces using our layering squares framelits along with our stitched shaped framelits. I'm going to use the largest scallop square, and then I'm going to use the second largest plain square. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to place the plain square just inside the scallop, and just make sure that you have it even all around. Use your Big Shot and the magnetic platform, and you'll die cut the plain square out, and that's what's going to give you that cute scallop frame. Really fun technique. So once I pop it out, just save that solid square for another project, and there you have our scalloped frame square. So I've got the two pieces. I've got a stitched shaped square that I used to die cut, so that's the second largest stitched shaped square, and then I die cut just a plain square, and I think I show you the measurements. It's about, I think it measures about 2 3/8. I think that's what I came up with. Yeah, that looks like about right. So you want it to be about 2 3/8. That's a nice size square that's going to fit inside that scallop square. Next thing that you're going to do is get out your Emerald Envy Designer Series paper. This is coming from the In Color Designer Series paper stack. I've got the heart from the Love Notes Framelits dies, and you'll cut out 6 of those on your Big Shot. And then the next thing that you're going to do is get out your Paisley framelit dies, and that little piece right there, I die cut that out, and that's what I'm going to use to create the stem of the shamrock. So you can see there that I'm just going to cut that off and then glue it. So look for pieces around that you may be able to do that kind of stuff with. Teeny Tiny Wishes is the stamp set that I'm using, and I'm going to do some heat embossing. So grab your Versamark ink, your white Stampin' Emboss powder, and your Embossing Buddy. This allows you to get all the static off of the cardstock to get a really nice crisp image. I'm also going to use my Stamp-A-Majig. I tried to do this without my Stamp-A-Majig, and I could never get the stamp straight. So with especially the clear mount stamps, this works great. If you need some pointers on how to use this, I can make you or I can create a video. Just let me know in the comments section. But I'm just using the Versamark ink to stamp the Happy St. Patrick's Day, and then I'm just going to sprinkle the white embossing powder on, and then I will set it with my heat tool. And you just want to get really good coverage, and then also flick off the extra powder, and you should have a really nice crisp image. Grab your heat tool, set it to the highest setting, and when you do this, just be sure that your fingers aren't anywhere near it, because that tool does get really hot and it can burn your fingers. So that's what it looks like when it's all done, when the powder's melted. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I created the shamrock with the hearts. Oh, well, first here I'm going to cut off the stem. So just don't lose that piece. And I'm just kind of like placing it right here. I'm going to cut it down a couple more times. So just kind of getting an idea as to where I want to start the shamrock. So for the bottom part of the shamrock, I'm going to use the text side. So what I do is I'm going to start in the middle with one heart, and then I'm just going to build up the sides and just layer the hearts on top of each other. And that kind of gives you the clover leaf shape. And then now what I'm going to do is just use snail to adhere those 3 pieces onto the card or to the square. And I didn't put a whole lot of snail on there, just enough to hold it, but it also where it would allow me to move it around, reposition it if I needed to. And I'm doing this, you know, when I craft like this kind of stuff, I usually am like right on top of it. So I'm not, because of the camera, y'all don't want to see my head in the video. So I'm not right on top of it. So it's a little bit harder to do this when you're far away. So if you're doing, you know, when you do this, it'll be a lot easier because you'll be right on top of what you're doing. So you can kind of see the form building or the shape building. And then with these pieces, what you're going to do is you are going to fold the polka dots inside. And there I'm showing you the wrong way. There we go. So now we're going to fold the heart in half with the polka dots in the middle, inside, and then just take your fingernails and give that a good crease. And then I even took my bone folder and just burnished that fold mark even better. And you're going to do that for the other 2 hearts. And so that's what it looks like when all of them are folded. And I'm using glue dots. I'm just going to put 2 glue dots on the center of the heart. I actually attempted, when I made my sample card the first time, I tried to use the fine tip glue pen and that did not work. It was an utter fail. So if you want to try glue, you can, but I found the glue dots to be really, really easy to work with. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just lining up the heart with, you know, with the point, with the flat one, and then so once I've got that stuck down, then I can just kind of take the sides and lift them up. And then you'll just do that. I found that if you put the sides on first and then do the centerpiece, that kind of gives it a nice shape. So you'll just want to do 2 glue dots on each of the hearts. And here again, you can see I'm having troubles because my head's so far away. So trying to do this where it looks somewhat like I know what I'm doing. And then here's the final heart. And then this is just going to kind of layer on top of the other 2. I just had such a fun time making this card. It was really it's such a cute idea to, if you don't have a shamrock image stamp or die cut or whatever. We don't have die cuts, but there is a shamrock image stamp that I don't have. So this was a fun little way to make it. And so I'm just putting the stem on there and I'm just figuring out where I want to cut it off. And I actually cut it down again. And then I'm just going to use my fine tip glue pen to adhere this to the square. And it gets a little messy. Mine isn't as clean as I would like it to be. So again, when you're crafting, you're on top of you're right on top of your project. So it will come out a lot better than what you see here on camera. So I'm just going to put quite a few drops on the back. And even if you have like tweezers would have been helpful here. Just that's such a tiny little piece. So just get that in there, and then you'll want to hold it down with your fingers or something and let it set up. And then I'm using the large rhinestone, and I'm just going to put that right there in the center of the shamrock, kind of to hide all the seams of the hearts, but also just to give it a little bling. And then I'm going to put this up on Dimensionals. And actually, I would recommend putting the square on the card first, but I'm kind of doing it backwards. So I'm just taking my scissors where those glue dots are. Some of them are not quite in the center of the heart. But you can take your scissors and just kind of fluff them up. So that's just going to center right there on that plain square. So use your dimensionals. I think I put 4 on here. And then you'll just put that, like I said, on that square. And there's just a few days left of celebration, guys. Today's the 15th. So we just have, what is that, 15 days left, 16 days left, not counting, or 15 days, not counting today. So make sure that you get your orders in. There's things that are already starting to sell out, so I'd hate for you to miss out. All right, so here I'm going to show you how I put on that scallop frame. I'm going to put this up on Dimensionals, and I'm going to cut tiny little pieces, and they're going to go all the way around the frame. I'm going to show you how I do one, and then I'll show you the finished piece. So you're just going to take your scissors and cut off just a small little thin sliver, and just put that right there on the edge, and that's going to, you're going to do that all the way around the frame. So you can see that's what it looks like, and then you'll just center that onto the card. And if you see some of the foam of the dimensionals sticking out, you can just lift up the frame and reposition the dimensionals so that you don't see anything. But I have a couple of pieces that I could have done a little bit better. And then from here, I'm just putting snail on the back of that plain square, and that's going to just go right in the center of the card. And then our sketch will be all done. So just a fun one color card other than the little bit of white that you see, and it's so cute. I love it. So I hope you liked today's project. Like I said, you'll be able to download the PDF from my blog post today, as well as find out all the products that I used. And if you have any questions about any of the products or how I made this card, let me know. Like I said, if you need some help on how to use a Stamp-A-Majig, comment below and I'll be more than happy to help you out. But if you have any questions about celebration, the starter kit's still, the starter kit special is still going on through the end of the month. So let me know, okay? Give it a thumbs up if you liked today's video. Make sure you subscribe to my blog. Bye, guys.